Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. In the last part we got here to the clock tower, and after solving a puzzle we found out that Nemesis also followed us here. Big surprise. And now we're going to move on to the other puzzle, and also Nemesis is in this room. If he doesn't show up at the door from the clock tower balcony, he usually shows up here. I think he can also show up in the courtyard if you decide to go out there from like the piano room. Either way, right now I'm going to need to do some pretty needed inventory management, because in order to do the next puzzle, you don't need 3 spaces, but it's recommended you have 3 spare spaces in your inventory. Plus, I wanted to store the second first aid box I got anyway. I do find it kind of ridiculous they actually give you 3 first aid boxes. And that's 3 spaces. Make sure you bring the Silver Girl along, just so we can make sure we have as much space as we need after the puzzle. Yeah, I hear you in here, Nemesis. It is kind of surprising how in some cases a smaller room harms Nemesis, and other times how much it can help him. I guess it depends on whether or not it's one of the non-random encounters, because he's probably more programmed to be aggressive in those, because you want to fight him for the better weapons. Either way, there's a few things we want to do in here, but if you want to do the puzzle, you want to investigate those ladies, but I want to come over here and grab the second of, I think, a total of maybe even 3 mine thrower rounds in the game. I don't even think I find the third one if there is one. But you want to grab that for a fight later on this part. Mercenary's Pocketbook. September 26th. It's only been 3 hours since the mission started, but the team is down to me and Campbell. The number of zombies is far greater than we expected. There is no hope left for this city. We already have injected the antibody for the virus, but I'm not sure that'll work. I don't know if I'll survive. The 27th. We managed to reach the clock tower. Out of desperation, we robbed some of the wounded members of their weapons and used the surviving citizens as decoys. We were taught to do this in order to survive in the battlefield, but I never enjoyed it. However, a girl showed up at the clock tower before me. She's one of the survivors. She looks just like my sisters before she starved to death. The 28th. I wanted to evacuate as soon as possible, but the girl didn't. Her father insisted that he wouldn't leave the city where his beloved wife rests in peace. I really wanted to save the girl, but Campbell said all I care about is our lives. That's how I felt before, but now... the clock tower has become a dangerous place, and I don't want to make any more mistakes. And if you look at the dead bodies, there's the girl. Ouch. Either way, time for the puzzle. Each one of these maiden statues is holding a ball. They are the crystal ball, the amber ball, and the obsidian ball. We need to take these over to the clocks there in the corner that you saw on the postcard last part, and place them into the trays beneath the paintings. Our goal is to make all 3 clocks point to noon. The only one that's not is the one in the middle. By placing one of these balls in any of the trays, it'll make the clock in the middle jump to a different time. And each one of these 3 paintings indicates a time period. Left is past, right is future, middle is present. As for what all the balls do in the paintings, on the left, the crystal will subtract 1 hour, the obsidian will subtract 2, and the amber will subtract 3. In fact, that's the only painting that subtracts time. On the middle, the crystal will add 1, the obsidian will add 2, and the amber will add 3. On the right, those numbers are doubled. The crystal will add 2, the obsidian will add 4, the amber will add 6. I'm not sure how many solutions there are to this. There might only be 1 or 2 for all I know, but this is always the one I remember to use. Just math it out, and you should be fine. In fact, I think the clock's randomized when it starts. At least a randomized clock seems like something this game would do, but now we get the gold gear. And if you try to use this on its own at the place up above, it'll only activate with the left one, so if you have to combine them into the Chronos gear. A gear designed after a god of time. So now we can go place this upstairs, and hopefully make the clock tower ring, so we can get that chopper over here. Also, I'm going to grab something I actually forgot to get on my first trek through this area. There are grenade rounds for me in this room on the corpse there. I believe this room actually has slightly randomized enemies. I think it could be either spiders or drained Deimoses, but I also might be thinking of later on to begin with. And Nemesis isn't in here anymore, but this is a good opportunity to go save. I'm not saving here. I'm not saving until after this next boss fight. In fact, it's my only save in the game, too. But if you're new to the game, this is where I recommend you save for effect. For the most part, saving this game, the reason I haven't mentioned it is because it's usually up to your discretion. Because of how you feel, how much ammo you've used, so on and so forth. But this is one point I definitely recommend saving if you're new to the game. There's another place you can save coming up before that upcoming fight, but there's no item box there. Either way, in terms of what I'm bringing the first aid box, the grenade launcher with just the grenade rounds. I could bring the freeze rounds, but I want to save those for fights later on. The Chronos gear because you need it, and the mine thrower because this is the only opportunity in the game I really find it useful. At least on a first playthrough. On a second playthrough, there's another way it can be pretty useful. Now, something I think I may have brought up last part is that this place reminds me a lot of the Spencer Estate for some reason. I don't know why, because the Spencer Estate is a much larger and even more intimidating area, but there's something about the way this place is constructed that always reminded me of it. Mind you, it's in Raccoon City, and for all we know, God knows how much of Raccoon City was just built up by Umbrella trying to make bases. Alright, let's get upstairs. Well, up ladder, rather. Now, something I have to wonder about the eventual Resident Evil 2 remake that I think has been confirmed at this point is I have to wonder what kind of camera angle they're going to go with. The reason I'm bringing this up is if they go with this general classic Resident Evil camera angle, I kind of hope they go with Jill's extra abilities in this game. Not only just the quick turn, but also the dodge mechanic, because that'd be pretty cool. Personally, I'd rather they do the RE4 route because I'd love to see another Resident Evil 4 quality game, but we'll see what happens. As long as they don't go the first-person angle from 7, because while that's good for that game, I don't see that working too well in a remake, outside of, like, the railgun games like Umbrella and Darkside Chronicles.
We're saved. Down here! It's finally over.
Nope.
Huh? No.
Stars.
I feel bad for you if you've been avoiding Nemesis thus far, because this is our first required battle against him, and he inflicted us with the virus status element with that tentacle grab earlier. Basically, it's an incurable poison status element. I'm not sure if the damage it does is consistent or not, but it hurts. And also, one thing I should mention, this fight changes if you use the emergency brake on the trolley. If you use the emergency brake, Carlos will show up and destroy his rocket launcher. However, the way I played this fight, I actually want Nemesis to have the rocket launcher because it causes him to stand still long enough for me to use the mine thrower more reliably. As I mentioned before, mine thrower does damage twice. The impact and the explosion. The explosion does most of the damage, obviously. Make sure you use all your mines as best you can and reload afterwards, because something that the mine launcher has that's kind of stupid but makes sense is that if you, like the one I just fired there, now when I try to reload, it'll now ask if I am okay with reloading because it'll cause that mine that went somewhere else to not be worked. Because the mines, I believe, are motion sensitive. If something's detected near them, they'll explode. This is the only fight I use the mine thrower for, mostly because it's the only one where it's really useful. This used to actually be my least favorite Nemesis fight due to the poison mechanic, but now it's that 5th optional encounter because of how small that area is. Make sure you bring some healing items just to fight the virus status element, because otherwise you'll be fighting him and probably limping a lot, and that's no good. Freeze rounds are also useful here, which is a reason that you could bring the grenade launcher here, but I brought the normal grenade rounds because I want to save the freeze rounds for later encounters with things. Overall, not the worst encounter with Nemesis, but it's damn close. I actually like this one nowadays, though, because I learned how to fight around the virus ailment. And that's all I have to say about it. I do like the area, though. I think if you come in here before the whole helicopter thing, you can get some herbs around here or something, but it's not really worth it in my eyes.
Jill! Jill! Hang in there! What have I done? I'm sorry, Jill. Please, wake up! Jill! Jill!
October 1st, night. I woke up to the sound of falling rain. I can't believe I'm still alive. Carlos?
It looks like our roles have been reversed from when we originally met, huh? Don't worry, Jill. This chapel is safe.
I've been infected by the virus, haven't I?
Hey! Take it easy.
I'm okay. Don't feel any pain. But that's what bothers me. If I can't feel anything, then what does that mean?
Don't give up, Jill. I'll take care of you. Whatever you do, don't let that virus beat you.
Whereas both Resident Evils 1 and 2 had 2 characters to play as, RE3 does as well. However, instead of being a separate campaign, we just get a small section we get to play as Carlos, and he's pretty loaded up to begin with. An assault rifle which has a shitload of ammo, does decent damage, and a handgun with 15 bullets to start, and an ink ribbon. And when we go to the item box, we see that he also has a knife in there that I'm going to grab just as a precaution. Our current goal? Try and help Jill, because she is infected with the T virus. And that's bad. That's very, very bad. We need to find a way to see if we can either halt the virus or at least find some way to cure it. As we could probably figure out, the T virus was invented in this area, so there's probably something we can do about it. Also, my one save in the game. This is usually where I do save. Similarly to how in Resident Evil 2 I save before I place the 4 slates / 4 chess pieces. Here in 3, I save after Jill gets poisoned. Not the best time, all things considered, because we're over halfway through the game at this point, but it's a good place because that Nemesis fight can suck. Now, there's going to be a lot of enemies in your way, but don't bother with most of them, because your assault rifle ammo is very precious, and we want to save it for a boss fight we're going to be doing as Carlos. Only use your handgun ammo for the most part, and save that all the same. Also, we can no longer go upstairs because the stairs have been completely destroyed, so, whoops! Also, I should apologize right now for my volumes being fairly inconsistent with my mic. It's been doing weird stuff recently with my editor, and I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to fix it, but I might be a bit inconsistent with volume in certain talkings every now and then. Also, there's now drain demos in that hallway, which kind of sucks. Either way, now we're back in the room with the clock puzzle. The reason we're over here is when we came over here, you may have noticed this bell. If you tried to push this with Jill, she would not have been able to push it. Apparently, she's just not strong enough. I would assume it's due to Carlos's taller frame and larger muscle mass. However, at the same time, Jill's supposed to be what's basically a Special Forces unit member, so something weird's going on there. However, I suppose just being part of a Special Forces doesn't indicate, like, oh yeah, strong! It might just be the fact that she's very good with tactics or very good at certain things, because who knows how the hell STARS works. The series doesn't seem to know how to half the time anyway. Either way, our goal is that room to the north. That's a locked door to our right that we can't enter yet, and I want to just make sure I blow up some zombies with this red barrel, because 4 zombies here is kind of a lot. Come on. I might be a bit too close here. Well, that's something. The zombies can be oddly annoying in this game, as I've mentioned, but mostly because they're both smarter and stupider. Because they will just outright walk away from you sometimes. Nemesis will do the same thing as well, and I have no idea what's going on there. Either way, welcome to the hospital. Which has very creepy music. Eh. The Hunters return. That is a Hunter Beta. Still easier than the Hunters in Resident Evil 1, though. Because they have lower defenses, and I think they'll actually try to do the decapitation when you're at higher HP this time around. But due to the fact they have lower defenses, they should go down pretty easily. I like the way they look, too. That's really good. That's a really cool little effect they got going on there. Either way, our goal in the hospital... Well, I'll discuss that in a moment when it's more relevant, actually. There's a blue orb there in case you need it, because I think there's some enemy that can poison you when you're playing as Carlos, but we want to head somewhere else for right now. Namely, we want to grab a few things in this room. This tape recorder right here is necessary to progress. There's handgun bullets in this locker, which I recommend grabbing, because the handgun's going to be better to use against normal enemies should you come across many. And now let's check out this document on this corpse. Director's Diary. September 10th. These patients suffer from gangrene and the congestion of their blood at first. Then their mind slowly deteriorates. In the end, there's nothing left of their mind. When that happens, even mercy killing seems pointless. After all, they're already dead. This disease is unlike anything I've ever witnessed. Once the patient's mind is gone, they become flesh hunger monsters and act like wild animals who are on some type of bloodlust. That's a grammar error there. September 18th. Another patient has been admitted to the hospital. He's showing symptoms of the first stages of the disease at this point, but I haven't been able to sleep at all these past few days. I refuse to let these patients become zombies. I am not just an ordinary citizen. I am a doctor, damn it. Even if I die, my clinical charts will contribute to finding a cure. The 26th. We lost most of the doctors and staff during a battle against the zombie patients. It's impossible to maintain a hospital under these conditions. And I know that it's too late for me. I'm beginning to feel that same itchy and hungry desire that all my patients felt. And it's too late for me. Ah, itchy tasty. Still getting referenced 2 games later. I think even Code Veronica references that. In fact, I won't be surprised if every game where you're actually fighting against zombies feels it. And we have to use the tape recorder here because voice recognition.
There also appears to be a slight fracture in his right arm just below the elbow. However...
And now comes the split for this area. We can either go upstairs to the, I think, 3rd floor, and downstairs to the basement, to the 3rd basement floor, rather. 4th floor, rather. And you can do either in whatever order you want. You're going to witness a cutscene in either, but never the second one you enter. However, I'm heading up here first, because if you head downstairs first, that'll cause hunters to spawn up here, I believe. And I like coming up here when there's no enemies. So let's just head in this room.
Don't shoot! No! Nikolai? You're still alive?
You saw what happened.
What's going on?
I'm one of the supervisors. That's all you need to know.
Wait!
Well, Nikolai's still alive, and that's totally not suspicious at all. If you head downstairs first, you'll just find a guy that Nikolai was apparently fighting, and he explodes somehow. I like this way better because we actually get to see Nikolai himself. Either way, we want to go over here because there's some things for us. Oh, that looks threatening. We want to get the sick room key. And there's also a photo D. The zombies are walking. It says effects of the T-virus on the backside. Well, the hospital knows what the T-virus is, so that means this place likely had umbrella rats in it. Great. It is, like, impossible to avoid Umbrella in Raccoon City, though, really. Because as Jill noticed, I mentioned at the start of the game, most of the town is under their payroll in some form or manner. Either way, these 2 rooms here are where the puzzle of this floor come in. You need to enter this room, this sick room here on the first sick room, either way. 2 things you have to do in here. Investigate the doctor's body. He's holding a slip with a randomized number list on them. It's a few set numbers, but for me it's 531. Write those down on like a piece of paper or something. After that, we want to progress a bit further in the room for 2 reasons. This zombie is alive, by the way. He only just wakes up after you walk past him. The other thing is, you see that very clearly 3D model of a cart behind me? Find out which corner of the room that's in. Why? You'll find out soon enough. I also want to grab those 2 green herbs because I like having healing items during Carlos's piece of the storyline. Because he doesn't get too much. I think he only gets this double green herb and a first aid spray, actually. There might be a red herb somewhere, but I don't remember it. And now that we've done that, we can leave this room. It is randomized which corner this card is in, by the way. So if you try to solve the puzzle otherwise, you're gonna have a 1 in 4 chance of getting it right. Although I think you might actually have to come in this room to begin with for the puzzle to even activate. So who knows? Either way, now let's enter the room next door. This is what needs the sick room key. That's why I need to go into the room where Nikolai was. And as we will immediately notice, this room is a mirror of the other one. More or less. That painting wasn't there before. What we have to do now is take this 3D cart and push it into the mirrored corner of where the other one was. In this case, the top left. It's actually a pretty simple puzzle, but I like it. And doing so causes that painting to fall. And now we need to open that safe. The combination for the safe is randomized on your playthrough, but it's the note the doctor had. In this case, 531. And in here we get something called, apparently, the vaccine base. We'll see what that's for next part. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 8 we'll be continuing on in the hospital and reaching our goal here in the process, hopefully. See you guys then.